Welcome, everyone. This is Juan Soto, Microsoft Access MVP, founder of AccessUserGroups.org, and you joined us at our regular monthly meeting for Access with SQL Server Group. I am your humble host for these meetings. If this is your first time at our meeting, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. If you would like to join us at other chapters, we have additional chapters at AccessUserGroups.org, where you can check out the calendar, some amazing Microsoft VBA to SQL Server query tool that you can take advantage of, as well as we are always looking for people who would like to start a new chapter in other languages in particular. I'm looking for someone who would be interested in starting a chapter in Brazil, Portuguese, Japanese, Chinese, Taiwan. I'd love to have other chapters in other areas, so reach out to me if you know somebody or you're interested yourself in starting a chapter. We have a very interesting presentation today, really good presentation by Carlos Quintero, who is the author of an amazing tool, Microsoft Access. I call him the original ChatGPT for Access because back before there was any ChatGPT or AI, Carlos was making my life easier. Back when I had hair on my head, that's how far back it goes, MC Tools. He was making my life easier as a developer. Now, these days, I am more of a sales director here at IT Impact. As many of you may know, I'm the owner of IT Impact. We are a Microsoft Gold partner out of Chicago, and we're one of the few Gold partners, if not the only Gold partner in the world at Microsoft that focuses on Access with SQL Server. And so most of my days these days is selling and presenting and helping people out on the web with my blog at accessexperts.com/blog. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend Carlos Quintero. Take it away, sir.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Juan. Hi, everyone. And thank you for having me here. Today, we are going to talk about MC Tools 8.0 and the many features that it has to make you more productive with VBA. First, some information about me, just in case. I am a former Microsoft MVP during 14 times from years 2004 to year 2018. I am also the developer of MC Tools for VBA, for VB6, and for Visual Studio. But MC Tools is a side project for me. My current job, since many years ago, is about DevOps. I am a DevOps engineer or DevOps architect. So I spend the whole day with continuous integration, continuous delivery pipelines with Jenkins, with GitLab, SonarQube, etc. And also a disclaimer, you might have noticed, English is not my first language. I am from Spain, so my Spanish is perfect, but my English is not. And my pronunciation is horrible. And as all Spaniards, I always struggling with the English language. So if you don't understand something of my explanation because of my English, feel free to pause me to repeat something or to use other words, or Juan can translate from Spanish even. If you want to contact me, you can use my email address, mctools@mctools.com. There is also a contact form or a support form on the website, mctools.com. And here you have also my LinkedIn profile. And about MC Tools 8, well, it's an extension or add-in or plugin to provide productivity tools to Microsoft IDEs. The website is mctools.com and it's a commercial product, but there is a perpetual license, so there's no annual fee. There is also unlimited support included. There is no support fee. And one license is valid for all your IDEs, for VBA, for Visual Studio, and for VB6. The license is per person, not per machine, not per computer, so you can use the same license in all your computers. You can use it at home, at work, on virtual machines, on the cloud, wherever you want. The product support Microsoft Office 64-bit, not only 32-bit, and there is a 30-day trial, and there is a 100% money-back warranty if for some reason you don't like the product. The regular price is $80, and there are packs for companies and for teams, but I have created a discount coupon of 50% that is valid until the end of February. The coupon is CAUG 2023, so there is no better time to buy the product if you don't have it yet. As I mentioned to Crystal, the product is free for MVPs, former MVPs, trainers, and other kind of people that can have influence with the diffusion of the product. Now, a funny question about the MC Tools name that sometimes some people ask me which is the origin of the letters MC. And it's a bit funny because when I created the product back in the year 2000, the name that I wanted to use was Q Tools, meaning Quintero Tools, but in the year 2000, that domain was already taken. So I had to think another name. Well, the name is Massinger C. I don't know the correct pronunciation in English. In Spanish, it's Massinger Z, Massinger C in English, maybe. And it is a very, very powerful robot of a very extremely popular Japanese cartoon on the TV at Spain in the late 70s when I was a child. So it happened that the domain mctools.com was not taken, so I could buy it, and that is the origin of the name. Here you have a picture of the robot, the Massinger C. Now, MC Tools had a lot of features, so it's very extensive, and there is documentation. There is a very comprehensive documentation. The documentation is available online. There is a documentation link on the homepage, and it is also available offline in the MC Tools help menu. And this is a picture of the help. We are going to go a minute to the homepage. And here you have the documentation. And to the left, you have how to install the product, how to customize the different options, and how to use all the many features that it has. Okay, and this help is also offline. It is installed with the product. So, as I have said, MC Tools has many features. It has more than 60 features. Many of them, more than 40, are applicable to the VB editor, but not the 60 features. And some of them, because other features are applicable only to VB6 or only to Visual Studio. And some of them are applicable only to VBA user forms, the user forms of Excel, of Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, but they are not applicable to Access forms. The help shows the supported IDEs for each feature in the upper right corner. I have marked there the symbols. VS is for Visual Studio, VB6 for Visual Basic 6, and VBA for Visual Basic for Application. So in the help file for each feature, you have the IDEs that the feature can be applied. So this session will be a quick tour to expose briefly all the features of MC Tools that are applicable to VBA and specifically to Access. There will be another deep dive session about some of them in the Access Europe user group in February the 7th next year at 6 p.m. London time, because it is impossible to explain in an hour or less all the features in depth. So there will be another session where for some features that require more time to explain because they are more complex or they have more potential, they require more time to deep dive. So the features that MC Tools provide are grouped in 6 groups. There are features to find code faster, there are features to code faster, there are features to generate documentation, there are features for quality assurance to ensure the quality of your code. There are features also to enhance your user experience with the VBA editor. And also, although we are not covering in this session, there are features to design faster, but they are for VBA user forms of Excel, Word, PowerPoint, but not for Access. But if you are using the VBA editor of Excel or Word to create user forms, there are features also in MC Tools that will allow you to design faster. And now we have the last slides of the PowerPoint as just a list of all the features, because we are going to list them for your reference, but we are going live to show them. So these are the features to find code faster, the features to code faster, the features to generate documentation, the features for quality assurance, the features to enhance the user experience in the VBA editor, and one small thing at the end, you must know, it can be important in some scenarios, that some of the features of MC Tool can be automated. That is, you can run them through a script, for a PowerShell script or a VB script. For example, you can add line numbers or remove line numbers, or generate documentation, or review the quality, or export files if you want some integration with Git repos or something like that. You can run MC Tools, these MC Tools features through automation. It's an advanced topic, and I will not cover it here today. I likely cover it in the next session, in depth session for advanced features, but just to know that some of them can be automated. So we are stopping the PowerPoint, and we are going to use the product live. The first thing, of course, is to install the product. So you have a setup. There is also a portable edition, just in case you cannot run setups, but hopefully you can run the setup almost everywhere in every corporation, because the setup doesn't require admin rights. So there is no need for an admin to enter admin credentials. The product is installed only for you, and as you can see, no credentials, no prompts to elevate for admin credentials is required. I click accept. I click that this is the product that I want to install, and the product is installed in a couple of seconds. And we are done. So when I open, I want to open Norwind 2.0. And if I go to the database tools, to the Visual Basic Editor, the first thing that happens when you install the product for the first time is that you are shown the options windows, because it's important that you get familiar with the several options that MC Tools provide, that are a lot. The first thing that you notice is that there are personal options and there are team options. The personal options are intended only for you, and the team options are intended either only for you if you are working with our team, or share with a team if you are working with a team. In the case that you are working with a team, you should change the location of these options that by default are in the C drive, but you have here a change button that you can use to move all these team options to a network folder, so that everyone in the team can use the options from a central location. Okay. Some things that you can customize that may be important are the language, the name that you want to use for the code templates when you use a variable which is the username, And two important things. The first one is that you can customize the buttons that you want on the toolbars, because they are a lot of buttons on the toolbars. This is the main toolbar, but you have the other utilities toolbar that has also a lot of buttons. And you have also buttons or menu entries in the context menus of the code window, in the context menu of the project, and in the main menu, the menu window. So here you can say, for example, well, I am not interested in this one because they are not applicable to Access. So you can remove them, and they are removed from the main tool window, the main toolbar, sorry. The second thing that you must remember is that you can customize keyboard shortcuts for many features. Well, for all the features of NC Tools and some more. For example, you can here define keyboard shortcut for example, find test, and we are going to choose, for example, Control-Shift F, which hopefully is not taken. It's not taken. Control-Shift F, and you can create another keyboard shortcut, for example, for the task leaks. And I am going to choose Control-Shift T. That is not taken. And you can also create keyboard shortcuts not only for features of NC Tool, but also for features of VBA that for some reason Microsoft doesn't provide keyboard shortcuts. For example, you can create for comment block and comment block, toggle bookmark, locals window, watch window, and etc. Okay, so keyboard shortcuts are very important for the productivity because you use the keyboard rather than menus or context menus or buttons, etc. Okay, these two ones. So from this point, if I click Control-Shift-F, I get the find test, which is the first of the features that we are going to see. It belongs to the group of features to find code faster. And what you get here is a window where you can, of course, enter the test to find. You can select the scope, and you have the usual scopes. But here you have also some special scopes, such as the open files or the selected files, where you can choose a subset of the files where you want to narrow the search. So that can be interesting in some scenarios. You have also the search options, and you have the usual search options such as match case, match whole word. And you have other ones not so usual, such exclude comments, exclude literals, wildcards, which is usual. You check the checkbox for wildcard, you click the insert button, you get the wildcard, and you get the list of wildcards that, as you can see, is very poor. There are only a few of them. But if you check the regular expression checkbox and you click the insert button, you get the regular expression list, which is much more powerful. Regular expressions, I am not sure if you are familiar with them. They are complex, and I am not expert on them at all, but they are very, very powerful, and you can perform searches that otherwise with wildcards you cannot perform. So it is worth to learn about it. And again, this is an advanced topic that I am not covered today. But there are some things that you can do with them that are very, very interesting. When you click the find button, we are going to search, for example, this string on error goto, and you click the find button. I have to select another scope. for example, the current project on error goto and the current project. And you get a tool window, a dockable tool window that has all the results, that have been found, and you get one line for each one. Of course, double clicking on each one goes to the code where the test was found. And here you have a couple of interesting things. The first one, as you can see, you have multiple tab pages, so you can keep a list of the previous searches that you have done since you started the IDE. If I search, for example, now this other string, not with this, but with this one. If you have the use new result tab selected, then this will use a new tab. So I now have 3 tab pages. And I, of course, can remove a previous search if I am no longer interested in it. This one is empty, so it's not my interest. I can close it. And now I have 2. And I can go back to a previous search and I can click the refresh button or the execute operation again, and it performs the search again, which can bring new results because maybe the code was modified since the first search. The very interesting thing is that you can remove individual results. For example, if you are not interested in this result, you can remove the result from the list, so you can keep only the results that you are interested in, and as if it were a to-do list that you want to look more closely. Okay. And of course, you have here buttons to copy the results to the clipboard, to export them to a file, to locate the result in a code line, to navigate the results, and to remove the tab pages that you no longer use. And another interesting thing of this tool window is that you have at the right a button which is to show a replace panel. And in this replace panel, you can do three things. The first one is to replace the found test with new test, which will be the more usual thing, to replace something by something. But you can also replace the whole line where the result has been found with a new line. And you can compose here a new line, and you have variables to select the found test, the found line, the portion of the line to the left of the found test, the portion of the line to the right of the found test, comment, prefix, and other variables that you can use to make the composition of the new line that has to replace the old line. And finally, you have also the option to delete the whole line. That can be useful in some scenarios. Imagine that you can remove all to-dos comments from the code base because they are already done. You can do this with this tool. So these are, and of course you can also, when you replace things, you can select a specific node. You can select that only this node must be replaced, selecting this change selected node, or you can change all the nodes. And this will be the find text and replace text feature. Another feature that you can use to find code faster is the method callers. The method callers is to search the callers to a method. For example, if I select this method and I right click and I click method callers, it gives me another tool window which has also multiple pages where you have multiple results, and of course you can remove not only tabs if you are not interested in a previous search of method callers. You can remove that tab, but you can also remove occurrences results of this list if you are not interested in this code for some reason, you can remove here, and you can remove here, and you can concentrate or focus on the ones that you want to see with a closer look. This is the method colors. The next
Hey,
feature.
Carlos, quick question. We
Yes.
have Ben wants to know what Regis engine are you using? Are you using the one that comes with C#?
I am using the one that comes with Net Framework.
Next framework?
The Net Framework, the .NET framework.
.NET framework, okay.
The .NET framework.
Okay, thank you.
I think it explained in the help file, regular expression, net, and regular expression, net allow you to find replace for information set. See the Net Framework docs.
Got it. Thank you.
This one. So there are a lot of them, and as I said, they are very, very powerful. You can find multi-line, you can find text that is not preceded by other text, or that it is preceded by other text, or something like that. Very, very powerful. It is worth to study something about regular expressions. So the next feature to find code faster is the Code Explorer. The Code Explorer is, let me find the button, is this button. And this button is a tool window that you can dock, and that shows all the code elements of the active code window. This window doesn't have many code elements, so I am going to choose another one. For example, this one. This one, the mode global, it has all these kind of code elements. It has constants, it has fields, it has enums, it has functions, it has subroutines, and with this tool you can navigate for all of them. They are, as you click or right click in the tool window, you get selected to the right the position of that code element. You have a lot of course, the list can be refreshed with this button, and you have filters to include or to exclude the kind of code elements that you are or not interested in. For example, you may decide that you don't want to see constants, so you exclude the constant, and the constants have been removed, or that you don't want you only want the properties. And there is no properties, or you want only subroutines. There are a couple of subroutines, or you want the functions. There are 3 functions, and you can filter also by scope or visibility. You can select the public scope, the friend scope, or the private scope. And to the right, it is a bit hidden. If you have the Code Explorer very narrow, the text box to search by text is hidden. In the next build, this text box will be moved to the left, so you don't miss it if your Code Explorer is narrow. And this one allows you to search by text. So, for example, if I type app, I get the 2 code elements that have those letters in the name, app version and app name. Okay, and this is the Code Explorer. Then we have another feature, which is the favorite code elements, which is this one. Another dockable tool window. Let me dock it. And here you can enter, this is like the bookmarks that VBA provides, but with a list where you can have all of them. So for example, if I want to add this enum to the favorite code element list, I click the Add button. It is also here in the toolbar of the Auto window. And then I have this code element here. I can select this function, for example. I can add here, and now we have two favorite code elements of this file. I am going to use another file, for example, this one. Let's say that I am very interested in this subroutine, this event handler, and I can add it to the favorite code elements, and I have three favorite code elements. So these code elements are persisted across sessions, so I can close the database. I can open it again. I can open the VBA editor. And I have the favorite code elements with the three favorite code elements that I stored in the previous session. So I can, if I close all the code windows, double clicking on each of them, I go to the place where the code element is in the code window.
That's great. That's a new improvement over MC tools I used to use, that it would erase your favorite code elements. You have to define them again after you open the file. So I'm glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
this version does that.
This is useful because I'm sure everyone has zones of the code that he visits a lot, and you place them here and they are always there. Okay. And finally, there are two minor features to navigate code that are the features that are here: the go to beginning of class, go to beginning of method, go to end of method, and go to end of class. They are going to move the cursor to the end or to beginning of a class of a method. So for example, if I click go to the end of class, the cursor has gone to the end of the file. And if I am in a method in the middle, this line, if I click go to the beginning of method, I go to the line of the declaration, this one. And if I click go to the end of the method, I go to the last line of the method. Hopefully you don't have very long methods because they are not best practice. But if you have, these small utilities can be useful. Okay. So that was the first group of features of MC tools to find code faster. Now we are going to a group, the group of features to code faster, that it is more, it has more features. The first one is the code library. The code library, let me find the icon, is this one. And this is a code library where you have two code libraries. You have one, the personal code library, with code elements that are only for you. And you have the team code library, which are code templates that are either only for you, if you are working alone, or they are shared with other team members. They are, you add code elements. Well, I notice MC Tools doesn't provide a huge number of code templates. It is not the intention. The intention is that it provides a mechanism for you to store your own code templates. Sorry. So you have to add the code templates from your own code or from everywhere or from somewhere else. To manage the code library, you have the options window where you have the code library in the personal option. This is the code library personal. And you have another code library in the team options tab. And this is one is for team members. And in each one you have several languages. The more usual that you will use is the VBA. and I have put here 3 samples. And for each code template, you enter a description, you enter the text of the template. You can use 2 interesting things that are predefined variables and user-defined variables. The predefined variables are variables whose value is replaced by MC tools when the code template is inserted into a code window, while the user-defined variables are variables that MC tools will ask you when you insert the code template in a code window. And for each code template, you can also define an expansion keyword, which is some letter that when you invoke some keyboard shortcut, if you type that and you invoke that keyboard shortcut, those characters are removed and are replaced by the whole code template. This is, again, an advanced feature that we are not covering today, but just in case to know that is the intention. You have also the possibility to associate a keyboard shortcut to an individual code template. So if you use that code template very frequently, you can associate any of the keyboard shortcuts that are not taken, and invoking the keyboard shortcut, you get the code template inserted into the code window. And you can also enter a comment for some explanation about the code template. Okay. So suppose that I have here a method and I want to insert from the code library this simple code template. I double click and the template has been inserted into the code window, and there was a predefined variable which was the position of the cursor, and it was here, and therefore the cursor is now here where the code template says that the cursor should go. That's the code library. There is another assistant, which is the new property method or property assistant, which is this one. And this one allows you to enter subroutines.
Hey, Carlos, we have a couple questions regarding the code library. Do you mind if we answer them real quick?
Yes.
So Steve wants to know, can you advance search code templates? And Steve says, I think what you were saying is search for keywords inside the code templates. Is that what you mean?
Sorry, can you repeat? In the code template.
Steve wants to know if you can search for keywords.
Correct. Keywords
inside the code template.
Tags, just to be able to find them quickly. Like you set up commonly used ones all the time, and you want to search for them within the code library itself.
Oh, you want to search the code library itself? Is there a way to search the code library?
Search the code library. You here have a text box to search. So
okay, I didn't see that. Perfect.
Okay.
You see, you search screen and you get screen mouse pointer.
I apologize. I didn't see that bottom part.
Okay.
All right. Ben Clothier has a question. Any plan to handle the calls through interfaces to the actual implementation? Currently, the method callers discovers all implementation, but doesn't tell which is the implementation based on the code. Ben, can you elaborate on that question?
This is very similar.
All right, let's go ahead and continue. All right, go ahead, Carlos, keep going.
Okay. So the next feature is the new method or property assistant, which allows you to create methods that can be functions or subroutines and properties. And properties get, let set, only let set. You can limit the scope in some cases. You can apply modifiers as static. You can add a header. We will talk about headers later. You can define the type for the functions and for the properties. You can set the default value. And you can enter here the arguments, and you can have a preview. So you can create functions and subs that maybe or maybe not is useful depending on each person. But for me, to create properties is useful because we are going to use an empty. I'm going to change the database to another one. For this, I don't have yet a module, but I am going to create one. Okay. So I can create here a property first name, and the type is a string, and I have here the preview, and I can create now the last name, insert, and the city, insert. And as you can see, with very small effort, I have created 3 properties with their fields. Okay, so this is useful for properties, and even more useful is you already have public fields. For example, here in the person class, which has public fields, and as you may know, this is not best practice, because it is better than public fields are converted to properties. And one thing that you can do is that you can put the cursor on a field and you click the convert field to property, and you get the same dialog, but everything is filled, so you only have to click the insert button, and you have transformed the public field in a property. And you can select all of the remaining fields and right click, convert field to property, and click, and all of them are converted almost at once into properties. And this is very useful to convert them to properties. Okay?
Very nice.
Okay, so the next one that we are going to see is the select case assistant for enums, which is when you have an enum that you want to create a select case statement with lots of case statements. Rather than doing that by hand, you can use, I'm going to remove the comment. You have here the color value, which is of the type color, and color is of the type enum. So here I can click the select case assistant for enums, and I get a window with all the colors of that enum. You can select which ones you want in dedicated cases. If you want all of them, well, all of them receive their own case statement. If you leave someone unchecked, then you get a case L statement. Okay, so you can use the full names or the short names. And you can here use a template for each enum item. This is also advanced, so I am not going to cover it here. And if I click OK, I get the select case field with all the cases that I wanted. It not only works with these cases of enums declared in source code, but also with enums that are declared compiled in references. For example, this one, application.modules one, item one, dot type, that this resolves to a class module, AC standard module. If I use the select case assistant, the select case assistant resolves the enum correctly with the two values, and I can create the select case for each one, the case for each one. Okay, this is the select case assistant for enums. Another feature to help you to code faster. Now I have also the insert header. Let me see if I have. Yes, I have this. The insert header is the feature that allows you to insert headers that is comments above, mainly above, although for code elements with body, you can insert them below the declaration, but normally they are inserted above the declaration. So the headers are defined here in the theme options in the section headers. And as you can see, I have a field header that applies only to fields, and it only has this text, purpose, and a user-defined variable, which is the purpose that MC Tools are going to ask me when I insert this header. I have also one for files. This one applies for files, that is for classes, for modules, for interfaces. And this has some predefined variables, for example, the date, the author, the item name, the item kind, and the purpose, which is a user-defined variable. So that variable is going to be asked to me by MC Tools. I want to test it. And I have also one for procedures that applies to properties, to functions, to subroutines, to constructors, to destructors, etc. So we are going to use it. This is the button insert header, which is this one. So as you can see, is using the template for subs and is asking me the value of the purpose, which is the purpose of this function. And this function is back, so I am going to enter purpose of whatever. And this is the header for this subroutine. And I can do the same with this one. And I get that header insert. Okay. So the next thing that I can do, if I have a lot of procedures or functions or code elements in general that don't have the header, instead of going one by one, there is another feature, which is this one, which has a play button, which the name is insert headers in plural, because this is going to ask me which is the scope of the operation, and I can say I want to add headers to all the current file, all these two subroutines, and I want to apply to subroutines, for example. And then it asks me the purpose of the first one, and then it asks me the purpose of the second one, and very quickly I am documenting the headers of all the files, and I can do this at project level. So very automated fashion to insert headers to all the code base if you don't have it documented with headers. The next feature is to code faster is to insert error handler, which is that if, for example, you have this code that can fail because object the O variable is not initialized, so this is going to fail. And you want to protect this with an error handler, you can define error handler here in the options window in the error handler section, and you have several kinds of error handlers. This one is of the kind on error go to a label, then you have the body of the method, then you have the on error go to 0, you then have the exit and the name, the keyword of the procedure, which can be function or sub or property, and you have the label here, which is the same than here, and here you have what to do when the error is reached that point. And in this case, we are going to show a message box with some information. And we have other error handler that I have created. You can create all of them that you want. And this one is of the type on error resume next and on error go to 0. And here just a message box. Okay. So in this one, if I two of them, when I click, I get a window to select which one I want to use. And it takes the current code of the sub where I am inserting the error handler, and it shows a preview. No, it doesn't show a preview. It shows the code template or the error handler. Okay. So if I click this one, then I got on error go to for error this statement, which are the original one, the on error go to 0, exit sub, the full error, the label, and the message. And as you can see, with one click, you can add an error handler to a subroutine or to a function. The next feature to code faster is to allow to shortcode elements. So, for example, imagine that you have this code, but you want the functions and the properties and the subs in some specific order. So you have the shortcode elements in manual mode, which is this one, and here you get a window where you have the procedures of this code, of this file, and here you have buttons to move up and down the methods. So you can sort them whichever criteria that you want. Okay. Say, for example, that I want the function, the last one. And I click OK, and now the function is the last one. But this is cumbersome because you have to apply a manual order that you have to have in your mind, and you have to repeat that order in your mind in another file, and so on. So it is better to put that criteria that you have in your mind in the options. And for that purpose, you have here the code elements order, where you can first you select the kind of file where you can sort the code elements. You can sort them in a class or in a module. Maybe you want different order in a class than in a module, or you may want to define them in an interface. So for a class, I may have an order that says that first the constructor, second the destructor, which is the initialize and the terminate events, then the properties, and only after the properties, the methods. And for the module, I want the properties first and the method second. Okay, so if I have this one and I click this button, which is shortcut elements but automatic, notice the exclamation symbol, this has been sorted automatically. If I move this one here, the function is at the first position. Remember that in a module, the function, which is a method, go to the last, and properties go first. So this function should go last, and properties should go first. So if I click the button automatic sort, I get the function at the end and the properties at the start. Okay, so this is very useful to shortcut elements in the exact order that you want. And there is a review that we will see later that detects when some code element is out of the order that it should be.
Very nice.
Yes?
Very nice. Very good.
Oh, okay. Okay. The next feature that we are going to see is the add remove line numbers, which is this one. And this is a controversial feature because some people argue that you should not use line numbers, but I think it's a mechanism that you can use. And this is for the Earl function, which is an undocumented function by Microsoft that gives you the line number, the number of the line that is causing an error. So for that, to return something different than 0, you need the line numbers. So you can apply line numbers with this button of here, and you get a number 10, 20, 30. You can customize the initial number and the increment here. Line number, you can have the start of the counter, the increment, and if you want to reset the counter at project level or at file level or a method level. So with these numbers in place, now if this method fails, and it's going to fail because the O variable is not pointing to something, it's nothing. When you call the toString method, it's going to fail, and this error handler is going to tell you that this happened in the line 20. Okay, I am not going to run it, but I think that you believe me. Okay, right?
Okay.
Then we have another two features that are to split and to combine long lines. So, for example, I can define here in the option window, in the line splitting, I can define a maximum number of characters per line, for example, 75. And then if I have a line number which has much more than 75 characters in the line, I can click the split button, which is this one, and in this case, it is going to ask me the scope. If I enter inside the procedure, it shouldn't ask me the scope. Let's try. Okay. So depending where is the cursor, you get a prompt to select the scope, or if you are inside a method, you don't get that prompt. It applies only to that method. So the line has been split, and now no of the lines it has more than 75 characters. And there is the reverse operation where you can combine the lines, this one, this one, and this one, that removes the line continuation characters, and they generate a very, very long line. But if that is what you want, it's okay. Okay.
Okay. Carlos,
now,
can you renumber the lines again? Like if you inserted lines, can you renumber the line numbers again?
Numbers, these ones?
Yeah, like say for example, you inserted a line between 20 and 30, you want to renumber them again. Can you renumber them?
Remember?
Yeah. Like if I add more code and then want to renumber the lines, they'll do that automatically?
Sorry, if I insert more code?
Yes. If you insert more lines of code, will it renumber automatically?
Yeah, I'm going to repeat this statement, and if I click the numbers,
Okay, thank you.
yes, 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the next feature is to indent lines. We are going to use this one. The line indenting feature is to indent automatically or with one click lines that are not correctly indented. For example, this one, which has a horrible indentation, right? So if I click this button on the lines, it asks me the scope because I think I was out of the foo method. If I am inside the foo subroutine and I click the button to indent lines, I get the indentation. Okay. I am going to unindent again for a review that we are going to watch later. And to indent, you have several options here that are taken most of them for the Smart Indenter tool that you may know, which is a tool that no longer works with 64 bits. And most of the options are here, and you can customize the behavior. And you have also another feature, which is to sort alphabetically selected lines. I am going quite fast now. This one. So, for example, if you have these lines with constants and you want to sort them alphabetically, you click here, and with this one, now they are alphabetically in alphabetical order. Another feature are the private clipboards, which are these ones. You select, for example, this line and you copy it to the first clipboard, and you select this one and you copy to the third clipboard. You have nine clipboards. And here you have then the first one with the first line that I copied, the second one empty, the third one with the second line that I copied. And you can paste them on another place. Let's say I want to paste the number 3, and you have. So instead of having only ones, you have multiple clipboards. You have also the message assistant, message box assistant, which is this one, and this allows you to customize how do you want the message box, very graphically. Okay, no complication with this assistant. There's also the switch assignment tool, which is this one. Imagine that you have some assignments like this, from type to text boxes and a function, a sub that says show person, and you want to do the reverse operation of the assignment. What you can do is to copy the original assignments and click this button, and the assignments are swapped. So you have the contrary of the original assignment. Okay. And also some small utilities, such as to convert something to uppercase, for example, this one, or to convert it to lowercase. That is useful in some cases. You have also a feature to duplicate the current line that we are not going to see. And the keyboard expansion that I mentioned before that we are not to see either. Now, the next group is features to generate documentation. I am going to use the other database, which has more code.
Carlos, before you switch, we have a question from Crystal. When you're doing line indenting, does it read the tab width from options?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So to see the statistics, we are going to see the statistics of Norwin 2.0, database, Visual Basic, and the statistics is this button. And it shows a tool window with each file of the project. And for each file, it tells you the kind of file, it tells you the lines of the files, the number of the lines of the files, the number of lines that are code, the number of lines that are comment, the number of lines that are blank, and some percentages. Okay, so this can be useful. For example, you may have low percentages of comment lines, maybe 0% is a bad number, but others have 52, so very commented code. Okay. To generate documentation, you also have the generate XML documentation, which is this one. I'm going to use this file, okay. And this generates XML file, which it is not intended for human beings. This is for machines, but you may want to use this to extract information from this XML file to do some other processing. So for that purpose, in the option window, in the generate XML documentation, you can enter here which process, which SAN utility you want to be called after generating the documentation to process that XML file to extract some information or to store that in some database or something. Okay. More interesting is the HTML documentation, which is this one. I'm going to generate, and this is one. This is the one for human beings because this shows in a graphical way your project. Your project has some properties. Your project has some references, has some imports, has all these files, and when you click some file, you get the properties of the files, the module, the properties, attributes, the methods of that file. And for each function, you get the declaration, you get the comment. If you have one, you have properties, and so on. So this is very rich information for human consumption. Okay, and this is the group of features to generate documentation. Then there is a couple of features to review the quality, which are the first one are the development environment settings review, which this allows you to check that the settings that you want in the IDE are the same on all your computers or are the same in all the members of a team. For example, you can decide that the tab width must be 3 and that it is mandatory that the required variable declaration is mandatory. So these are options that you must establish here in the options of the VBA editor. Here you say, in this case, I don't have those settings, so the review is going to tell us that these settings are not correct because I don't have the required variable declaration and I have a tab width of 4 when the team or myself decide that we want to use 3 instead of 4. So you go here and you can create a rule that says that for VBA6 7.1, the value of this registry entry, the name tag width must be 3. And I can test, and of course, since the value is 4, in my case, it says that the value is not correct. And the same for the other one. Of course, this is telling me that I don't have the required variable declaration mandatory. The beauty of this is that if you activate these rules and you close access, and you open it again, as soon as you start the VBA editor, I am going to open the other database. See, as soon as I started the VBA editor, I get this review that tells me that these settings are not correct and how to fix them. Okay. So if I go to the tools options of the VBA editor and I set here 3 and I check the required variable declaration, and I run again the review, then I am okay with the standard of those values. Okay, this is to help to standardize the tab size and other settings. Anything that can be retrieved from the registry, you can define a rule here for it. The other feature to review the quality is this one, where you can review a lot of things. For example, you can review if you have dev code. You can review if you have line indentation that is not correct. You can review if you have code elements without headers, or that having headers, they are not correct. They don't match the headers that you have defined. You can review the tab index. This is for Excel and Word, but not for Access. You have nomenclature rule reviews that can help you to review the nomenclature, the names of all the code elements with very powerful rules. This is also advanced. We are not going to enter in detail today. You have the programming rule review. You have a spell checker for the test of message boxes. You can review the code elements, so we are going to see some of them. For example, here. We are going to review the code elements order of the current file. And it says that the code element is not expected at this position. And this is because the predefined order says that properties must be above subroutines. So if I go here and I click the automatic sort order, the code is now fixed. And if I refresh the review says that now is okay. Okay. I can do the same with the indenting, and I can run the indenting review, which is the one for the current file. And of course says that the line 6 is the first line that has an incorrect indenting. I can fix the indenting, and if I refresh the review, now the review says that the indenting is okay. And that is the power of the review quality. And of course, for nomenclature, And for programming rule review, just a minute, you can go here and you can define a lot of rules. For example, you can define that the classes must start with the C prefix. So you can define a rule of two kinds. The first kind is using prefixes and suffixes. You can enter prefix 1, prefix 2, and suffix 1, suffix 2. So for this case, where we want the class names to start with the C prefix, we enter C as the prefix 1, no prefix as prefix 2, and then the name must follow the Pascal case. And for example, this is a valid class name as this rule. And there is another kind to define a rule, a nomenclature rule, that is to define with the name some operator must start with, or must end with, or must contain, or cannot contain, or must match some regular expression, and so on. And you can define, for example, that the length of the name must be greater than 1, so that you don't allow names of variables with the I, G, and so on. Okay?
Okay.
And for the programming rules, you can define, for example, that projects must have the description field, that the classes cannot contain more than X lines of code, that the classes must contain option explicit. For example, in this one, the item to review is class, and we are going to review its code property. We have lots of properties to review of a class. We can review the blank, the count of lines that are blank, the percentage of lines that are blank, the lines of code, the percentage of lines of code, the declaration, the full name, the name length. In this case, we are interested in the code, and we want to say that the code, I am going to close and open again. We want to say that the code must contain the value option explicit. And if the code doesn't contain that value, the rule is going to fail, and we are going to be notified in the results tool window. Okay, so this is very powerful to review all kinds of things, because you can define your own rules, and the rules are very powerful because you have lot of properties to implement rules. For example, you can create a rule that says that the number of parameters of a collection must be less than 5, for example. So, for example, to review the code quality, we are going to use this one. And we are going to use the programming rules review for the current file. And this says that the modules must contain option explicit, because this module doesn't have option explicit. That the modules cannot have fields with a dim declaration. They must be private or public. And the number of parameters of a method cannot be greater than 5, because maybe these are too many parameters. Okay, maybe you should use a type or a class to avoid passing so many parameters. And these are the quality review, and we are almost done. Now it's a small list of features to enhance the user experience using the VBA editor, but some of them are very useful. For example, the task list. You have here the task list. And you have two kinds of tasks. I'm going to maximize this and to dock the task list. Well, well, I cannot dock it now. So the first kind of task are the general tasks, where you create a task by hand. You enter a description, a priority, high, status, not started. You can assign to someone and some comment.
Nice.
And you have also, and you can have many of them, and they are stored in a file along with the file of the Office document. Okay. So you must copy or move them together, those two files, the original file of the Office and the file that contains the task. And the other kind of tasks are the tasks that are taken from the code when they have the to-do keyword in a comment. I am going to use here, for example, this one. And if I click refresh, then the scanner has detected that we have a comment that starts by the to-do keyword, and it has taken that as a code task. And here you have it. Okay. So this is very useful because it allows you to have tasks for your work. Another interesting thing are the external utilities. External utilities are created here, and we can have, for example, the Explorer. And we can have, for example, the editor. And maybe someone else, not path, for example. So I can create here external utilities, and each of them can have parameters. So you can insert some variables such as the name of the project, the name of the file, the selected text, and so on. This can be useful in some scenarios. And when you have them here, they appear here in the tools menu. Okay. So you can invoke them from the tools menu without going to the Windows Explorer and so on. This one and the notepad. And the registry editor. This one asks for admin rights. Okay. So these are the external utilities. You have also an utility to clear the immediate window. So if you have here something and you go to clear it, you have a context menu with a clear menu item that clears the immediate window, which is useful also while debugging. You have the export and import files in plural because the VB editor only offers import file in singular and export file in singular, and MC Tools provide import files and export files. And this is useful, for example, if you want to export this to some folder. And then this folder contains your exported files of your project. It also contains a special file, which is the references text file which contains your references of your project. So you can try to integrate this with Git or some kind of control, version control, or things like that. Vale? Sorry. Okay. And it can be useful in that case. The next feature is the close windows, which is this one. If you have multiple code windows, you can use the close windows, all windows but the active one, all the code windows, or all the designer windows if you are using Excel or Word or some IDE which have user forms. So I can close all but the active one. Okay, all of the remaining have been closed. You have also the collapse project, which is to collapse the preview of the project explorer, which is this button, and you click here and the project explorer is collapsed. Also, MC Tools provide a clean feature, which is this one, which some people apparently its file is corrupted and must be cleaned, and there are utilities there out there to clean, and MC Tools also provide one. Okay, so you can use that. It creates a backup before the cleaning, just in case something goes bad, but so far nobody has lost code. And you have some other small ones, minor ones. For example, you have the connection string assistant, database connection string assistant, where you can choose the ODBC driver or OLEDB provider, and then you click the build button and you enter the data of the connection string, and you can test it, and you get the connection string here in this text box, and then you can insert into the active code window, or you can copy it to the clipboard. Okay, and a couple of them. You have an autosave documents, which is this one. You can make it active, and you can say how many minutes the document should be saved automatically. For example, you can specify 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so. And the last one, I already mentioned it, is that you can have keyboard shortcuts here for features that are not provided by MC Tool, but by the VB editor. So you can assign a keyboard shortcut for the comment block and uncomment block, or toggle the bookmark, next bookmark, and so on. And that will be all the features that MC Tools has to offer. I'm going to comment only a last thing, which is this one, in the mctools.com website.
All right. Thank you, Carlos. We have a few questions. It's time with Crystal. Go ahead, Crystal.
Yes, before Crystal, I wanted to comment that here you have in this link is an advanced topic, so we are not going to talk about this today, but you have here how to automate some features. For example, how to add line numbers with VB6. Okay? Just a pointer to the documentation. Okay, Crystal, question.
Okay, thanks. I asked if the immediate window can be cleared by code, and Mark said it can, but you showed how to do it manually, because one thing that I'd like to do in my code is put a line in there that says clear the immediate window, and I don't have any way to do that. I just wondered if whatever you're using for clearing it can be called.
I am using a horrible hack, which is to send keys to do things. So
send keys.
Send keys, yes. I send a key, which is to select all text, which I think that is something A or something like that. And then I will have to check the code, but it's using send keys.
Okay.
Send
And all right, any other
keys.
questions, Crystal?
Hay un send keys que es that is to select all text, and another send keys with the del key, which is to do programmatically this, to select all and to click the del key, and that is the trick.
Okay, yeah. I mean, in code, I don't know how to select the immediate window to do the send keys, like Control A and then delete. But if there's not an easy answer for that, my other question, which I asked earlier, which I think is probably no, is I was wondering on the find and replace tool if it is just searching the code. I mean, you have a lot of options to search, find and replace in code, but obviously there can also be code called from the property sheet. So I was wondering if your tool looks at all at the property sheets.
Do you mean here?
It's not VBA. It would be like when you're in form design or report design, and you specify a function to call from the property.
Yeah. No, the answer is no, because MC Tools is not an add-in specific for Access. It's an add-in for the VBA editor or of any Office application, and as such, it cannot do, or at least easily, it cannot do things that are specific for Access.
Okay, well,
Okay, that's the reason.
it's very impressive. Thank you very much, Carlos. This has been very interesting.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, Steve, you have a question?
No, he kind of answered it. The cross-referencing of calls for procedures, like was just mentioned, you could have it on the property sheet, or you could have it within a query or any number of elements. But I mean, other than that, this is a lot
I
of
think
it.
you wanted to know if the search can search properties as well, or somebody wanted to know that.
Somebody just asked that, so that answered my question. So if I have a property out there that calls close form, let's just say for an example, it wouldn't tell me that it's used on form A, B, or C.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have a question for Carlos? Anybody? All right. Well, Carlos, I just want to say how impressed I am with this set of tools. And what's even more impressive, people may not realize this, is that you can actually build tools like this using the IDE object model. Now, Carlos has been doing it for decades, and it shows. But you could there's nothing stopping you from doing your own JS tools. In my case, my initials are JS, so I could create my own tools and using the IDE model and programming it. It would take me years to do what Carlos has done so far, but it could be possible. So just show you how powerful it is, the object model in Access, where you can manipulate so many things. All right, so we gained some really good, lots of good praise there, Carlos, in the comments. People are very happy with the presentation. So we have a free license to raffle off today. We have a winner for everybody who was here. Carlos, you want me to announce the winner?
Where?
No, ganador de la licencia gratis.
Anúncialo tú, because I don't
Okay,
see.
so our winner is Philip Hansen. Philip, you are the proud owner of MC Tool license.
All right. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So send me
All right.
the first name, last name, and email address through the contact form or through my email. So I will register you tomorrow. Okay.
And again, I want to remind everyone that we have a discount code, COG 2023. COG stands for Chicago Access User Group. Please consider buying the license to support Carlos in this amazing tool here going forward. Oh, by the way, Ben Cloutier, you had a question regarding the ability to store code libraries in the cloud for Teams. Carlos, ¿hay manera de guardar código en la nube para equipos?
Yes, I suppose
Yes.
there should be a way. You have to use, I guess, Google Drive or OneDrive or Dropbox or something like that, I guess. Okay. Because the storage is all file-based. No, it's not HTTP based. It must be file-based.
File-based.
So you need something that takes that from the file system and puts on the cloud. So this is also an advanced topic, and I will try to discuss it in the European conference next year. But you can try, because other people want to synchronize two computers of the same person in different places with the same settings. And the way to do it is to install Google Drive or OneDrive or Dropbox in both computers and use the same account. So this could be done using OneDrive or Dropbox or Google Drive with some common account, or maybe they can share accounts or something like that.
Well, what I have done, I have actually shared mine, and every environment I got to pick the location of that shared file. So everyone's going to be different, right? So your Google Drive may be SON at OneDrive, SON. It may be on my local Steve. So as long as you can pick the file location from your application, I can point to a synced shared folder that's local. And the same applies to other developers. If I share that file with other developers, they can then go in and point to that shared location on their file system, regardless of the name, and it will keep the syncing process in play.
Thank you very much,
That's how
Steve.
I have done it with other.
Yeah, we definitely want to explore that. We are buying MZ tools for the company here, IT Impact, and I'll be reaching out to Carlos to get the details, but we want every employee to use MZ tools and have Ben configure it. So maybe you can help Ben test the Teams synchronization using our OneDrive for Business.
Correct.
And hopefully get that working. So appreciate that. All right. Well, it's very late. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning for Carlos, and he's got to wake up early tomorrow morning. I want to thank you.
It's a bit
for showing up
early
today.
Morning here, yeah.
Yes, no siesta for you tomorrow.
I will try.
Okay, good. And so look, I want you to thank everybody again. This is one Soto review. I'd love to join us next month, where we were going to be bringing Luke Chung and FMS tools. He's got a suite of tools that are really amazing as well. Looking forward to see you guys then. And until then, have a great Christmas and the New Year's, and I will see you in January. So long, everybody. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you again, Carlos.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Bye.
Abrazos.
Gracias. Un abrazo. Bye-bye.